This episode of The Patch is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website, portfolio, or online store. For a free trial and 10% off, go to squarespace.com and use offer code PATCH12. Patch and the numbers 1 and 2.
The Patch. This week, Gus, Ryan, Ashley, Gus.
Wait, you forgot somebody.
And Gus.
No, you forgot somebody.
What? Oh, wait. And our gaming laptop.
Our special guest.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about...
Have we named it yet?
I called it Patch.
Patch? Okay.
We call it Patrick, but we already have a Patrick working in the control room, so it might get really...
Can we call it Beta
confusing.
Patrick? Or
Patrick Prime. I brought it on because I want to talk a bit about PC gaming and console gaming this week. But I don't want to jump into that immediately just yet.
Excited Ryan is.
I figure Ryan is definitely a guy to talk about that kind of stuff, as well as Ashley. Are you consider yourself primarily a PC or a console gamer?
I sort of go between the two. Like, there are games that you simply can't play on console, like SimCity, and I'll be on my PC, like, playing that nonstop for 12 hours at a time. And then I'll go and I'll play a little bit of Zelda on and then I'll go and I'll play, I don't know, Reckoning on...
You're a floater.
Or something. Yeah. I'm a floater.
A utility player.
Basically, I'm cheating on every platform with every other platform.
I think I saw. Didn't you tweet this weekend that you didn't want to get out of bed? You just stayed in there with a cup of tea and Zelda all day.
Oh, it was so nice. Like, I just had it next to the bed. I wake up and go, what a nice day. Reach over, grab the DS and just go, and then I just play until my fingers go numb, which they do while playing in bed for some reason. Yeah. That's not going to stop.
That sounds like a circulation issue. All right.
It absolutely is. That's my fault. That's not Zelda's fault.
So even with new consoles having launched and, the release cycle for games kind of winding down since we're in a lull before the holidays, I feel like there's still a lot going on. And you do the news every day. There's still a lot to report on.
There's a ton. I used to think there was a huge gap from basically the beginning of December to the end of January where really nothing happened. Everyone shut down. Everyone said, if we've got a game, it's out, whatever we were going to do, it's been done. And so we can just relax now. And that's not the case anymore. It is just, it's just like completely busy all the way through that period now.
Well, it seems like we're still kind of in the discovery phase for both the new consoles that are out. So there's still stuff coming out associated with them. Yeah. Completely aside, the gaming front, it's a little bit slow right now, but all the stuff, how many people are selling them, how many people are killing each other for them. Yeah. So
I still can't believe that. I can't wrap my head around it.
So apparently we have a couple of suggested names on Twitter real fast I want to get to for the laptop.
For the laptop, all right.
El Pacho. And Patchy.
Patchy sounds like it's got the mane.
You could call it Apache.
Okay.
So,
little Native American there, I don't know.
A little bit, yeah.
Sony announced that they sold 2.1 million PS4s so far worldwide. No real word on full numbers from Microsoft yet on the Xbox One, though.
Which kind of makes you...
They haven't provided an update since their, 24-hour number, so...
Which makes you kind of think, well, they're probably good, but they're not PS.
Yeah, they released the statistics that they had, which I have here in front of me, like how many zombies have been killed in Dead Rising, how many miles have been killed in Forza 5.
But they did that the first day.
Was that the first day?
That was within the first 24 hours. They were like, you guys, or the first 48 maybe. It was like, it was basically like, I think they put that out the Monday after. So they said, in the first 24 hours we sold this many, and so far you guys have killed this many zombies. I don't know if they've updated it since then, but that's when that stat was initially available. Like, you've driven, 20... was it 60 million miles?
Yeah, over 3 billion zombies killed in Dead Rising 3, over 90 million miles driven in Forza 5. It's a lot.
I think the latest metric, though, was the number of hours online, right? Was the most recent thing they put out.
Here it is. I had to scroll down. 186 million enemies defeated in Rise, 150 million combos in Killer Instinct, 415 million gamer score achieved. I don't see it online time, though.
I'm zero of that. You know what my only achievement on Xbox One is so far?
Day one achievement. Nice. The QR code, Xbox code.
It actually took me a while to figure that one out because I was like Xbox redeem code because that's what it is on the Xbox site. I just sort of assumed that was going to be the same thing. It's not. So Xbox refused to listen to me.
Yeah, I tried Xbox redeem code, Xbox scan code, and I was like, what the fuck? I tried a bunch of different things, and finally I looked at the stupid card and read it. Like, okay, Xbox user code. It says it on there.
And then it immediately goes. Beep, beep.
Yeah, it's like, okay, there we go.
So I've played with. So I spent the whole Thanksgiving weekend. I took Xbox Home. I played with the whole TV, DVR stuff. I played with the PS4 a little bit more. I still don't really care about the Kinect, honestly. It does nothing for me.
It's convenient sometimes.
I think it's because I just don't like to talk. I don't want to talk to my appliance. I don't want to say dishwasher go. I don't want to say lights on. I just want to hit a button.
Say dishwasher go.
Would you?
I would load everything in by hand, and then I would stand back and go, dishwasher, clean my shit.
but you do make it sound more attractive that way. But yeah.
The thing I wish you could do is I wish you could bind your own phrases.
That would be nice.
Because as it is, you have to learn the semantics that it's expecting in order to do things. Like the interesting thing is how you can turn it on by saying Xbox on, but to turn it off is a totally different thing, which I'm not going to say because people watch, and I don't want their systems turning off.
Oh, they'd have to confirm it. Remember?
Yeah, but
that's why you throw the yes at the end. But
there was a list compiled, I think, in the gaming subreddit. Some guy just wrote a ton of wish list improvements for Xbox One, and I think those were some of them. The ability to disable the turn off feature.
That would be nice.
Custom phrasing. I forget, there was a bunch of them.
I wish it was a little bit more like Siri. Like Siri's,
if it was a little bit smarter.
Well, Siri's cloud-based, right? Which is why, occasionally you say something and then she'll sit there spinning for 30 seconds and then go, I'm sorry, I can't.
I tried.
Just because,
didn't compute.
because I guess the cloud Siri is overloaded. That's what I always think of it as anyway. So it's if it will take the print, take it off somewhere, and then interpret it and then bring it back. I would prefer that to having to learn all 54 whatever commands are available myself. I don't want to train me. I want to train it.
Yeah. And I think
I'm the adult.
Some of that would probably...
I bought you. You listen to me.
Exactly.
Some of that would probably be pretty difficult without going to a more always-on scheme, because without that back-end functionality, then it would get really dumb.
I wonder if that was ever part of the roadmap before they changed it.
Could've been.
I guess we'll never know, but that's a dream scenario.
Yeah. I don't know. Until it gets to the point where it's more efficient for me to say the command than it is to go beep, beep. It's, I don't know. Especially in those of us that are, I don't know how you feel about this, Gus, sometimes, but, those of us married, have significant others at home, you don't want to be like, Xbox, TV? Or there's always the good thing in Rise where it's you use that interactively to do things like launch arrows, and I think they have this concept of what this person looks like sitting in their room. They're like, fire arrows! And then, all immersive, and then what it really comes out to be is, fire arrows?
So basically
fire
exactly
arrows.
What the Wii remote was like.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I joked with Bernie that it's in Dead Rising you can tell psychopaths that they're crazy. You say you're crazy, but I'm so embarrassed. I want to cover my mouth and be like, you're crazy.
No,
you're crazy.
You know what though? Bernie does it all the time. Half the time I'll be at using the computer playing some city or whatever, and I take the headphones off and go, what? And he's just going, you're crazy. And then Chibi and I'm just going, yeah, I'm not sure he's the one who's crazy.
It's who's really the crazy person in this area? You thought people looked crazy walking down the street with Bluetooth headsets? What about the person with nothing who's just shouting at a TV screen? But the list this guy has, he made a website for it. I think it's xboxfeedback.com. It's pretty comprehensive, and I think there's a lot of good suggestions in here.
Yeah.
And it could be things that are already being worked on, for an upcoming
the
update.
UI's definitely got a long way to go. There's the navigation of achievements is kind of abysmal right now.
It's weird
slow.
to me that they made the achievements individually bigger.
And it's an app. So you end up in this situation, and this is what I was just playing with. So I'm in Dead Rising. I want to see my achievements. I go to the guide. I go to my achievements app, which isn't necessarily pinned to your homepage. It could have wandered off unless you pinned it to the side. You go in there. You look at your achievement. You hit B. That goes to your big window. And so now if you were to try where Dead Rising was, and Dead Rising is now a little thing down here, or you can just keep hitting B and eventually you'll get back out.
What you could also do is when you're looking at the achievement, there's a button that says play.
Is there one that takes you straight back in?
Yeah, and if you go to the button that says play, then that goes you straight back into the game.
It's really not intuitive, though. It's all over the place.
Off to the side, if you just go Xbox Snap Achievements, and then does that work?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've never thought about snapping it.
It's the whole thing just feels slow to me and non-direct.
Hasn't Microsoft actually sort of apologized that the UI is kind of a step back?
Larry Erb, I believe, has already posted that they're taking all of the feedback they're getting and having Did I say his name right? Larry Herb?
Herb.
Herb.
Xbox's Major
Herb.
Nelson.
Yeah. Major Nelson has already, I believe, announced that they're taking all that feedback. And I got to give them some credit.
So they're trolling this guy's site, basically. They're just going through and being like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that's a good one.
Man.
And be like, why didn't we think of that?
Where was our QA team? I mean,
Why have a QA team when you have the internet?
fair enough. That's the best QA ever. Just bounce it off everybody.
Yeah, it's like a hive mind. You know,
Yeah.
you give it to a bunch of different people and let them work at it.
I will give, Xbox or Minecraft. I will give Microsoft, that's the company, a little bit of credit in this regard because the whole time they've been pushing this one, they've had a lot of ideas that haven't resonated with people, and they've actually been very good about addressing them for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect that they will actually turn around and deliver a product that we'll like a lot more. Obviously, Sony doesn't have as far to go.
Yeah.
They're in much better shape right now. The downside for me, though, I think, I don't like the UI really on 360, right? Or
Xbox One.
There are too many consoles on one right now, but there's more games I want to play there. Like, the PS4 feels like a better platform, but there's nothing I want to do on it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that way about both of them right now.
Uh-huh.
We have both of them at home, and I've turned them on, and I've been like, that looks really cool.
Uh-huh.
And then I go and I play on my PC.
Yeah,
because I'm still waiting for a game to come out that's more up my alley. I'm terrible at racing games. I'll spend the whole time on the guardrail. I'm not great with zombies. I've had zombie fatigue since zombies were a thing. I don't know why.
Well, you better hope the revolution never comes, because then you're in trouble. You just when the zombies come shambling down the street, and you're like,
I'm so tired of you.
Tired for this.
Just get out of here.
You've been done. I don't want to duct tape anything together to fight you.
Yeah, I don't want to see any zombies. I don't want to see any aliens. I don't want to see any Nazis. All of you, just get out of here.
Get out. You're done.
Just bring me my zoo animals.
So are you playing? Is that what you're playing then? Zoo Tycoon?
I think I'm going to download the demo because out of everything, that's the one that seems like the most. It appeals to me the most. When the 360 came out, the first game that I really got attached to was Cameo, which I know everyone says is terrible, but I loved it. And it's that bright. Of the bunch. It was bright. It was colorful. It was it was fun. It wasn't all bloody and stuff, which is good in its own right, but like totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I want either that or I want Fallout.
Oh, Fallout.
Yeah. So what's the deal with that Survivor 2299 site? So no one even knows if it's real or trolling yet.
No, I'm gonna say based on how elaborate it's getting and how much work would have had to go into it to get the the encryption and all that stuff to the level where it's actually taking people time to as a group decrypt and figure out what it all means. That just seems way too much for some dude.
Which is exactly why some dude would absolutely do this.
If some dude did this, then I will give him a high five and a medal, and then I'll punch him in the face.
Do it,
because it's just
you heard it here
being
first.
along
You
for
will do it.
just being along for the ride is fantastic. It's becoming such a cool narrative that it's worth it in its own right. But if it's fake, I will be so sad.
Well, I felt like early on, I mean, I want to believe it's real, but I feel like early on they were monitoring, whoever's running the site was monitoring what the internet was saying about them and was making updates.
They absolutely are. But if I was the marketing agency in charge of that product, that is exactly what I would do. It's they would go, oh, that's right. We're in Europe, which is apparently how Europeans talk. I'm really sorry about that.
I'm somewhere in Europe, maybe.
And accidentally got the date wrong. So they swapped the date. Then they did it both ways. And they updated all this stuff. But everything that's been going since, it's just too good.
Yeah.
It's almost it's too subtle in some ways.
The most damning thing to me, and I don't know if it's changed, but when the site first launched, it was being hosted in Australia. Bethesda has none of their websites hosted in Australia. It was
No, but they did just launch Bethesda ARM in Australia.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they were going through an agency down there for a while called One to Another, and they decided to open their own, their own branch down there. So it's not, out of reason. I really doubt they're running it out of their marketing office, but you never know. Maybe they were running the project.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, so everybody is now leaning very heavily in the direction of thinking this is Fallout 4.
Well, we all really want it.
Really want it to be. So what's the backlash on this if it turns out to be something completely different? They're
Death.
Hey, it's a new other game that's not Fallout, but it's really great. And everybody's like,
it's not Fallout.
If it
it's
turns
not
out to be not Fallout, I'm thinking internet lynch mob.
Hey guys, it's Brink 2.
They would really need to be on top of it right now and be like, no, not Fallout, but really good. Like, I'm going to just go ahead and push that out there. So maybe that's.
But they're specifically referring to vaults. In fact, this might be one of the experimental vaults. So they had 101 actual vaults, and they had another 20 that were the experimental vaults. Well, the vault that they're talking about in this narrative is Vault 119.
So it'd be one of the experimental ones.
It'd be an experimental vault, which I think is really interesting. I think that would be a lot of fun to see, how twisted up it is.
And they did crazy experiments, right? Like psychological experiments where they were observing the people and how they would behave.
Well, they did some of those in the Under 101, right? I mean, a lot of the vaults were just kind of crazy, this one doesn't have water. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, I don't know what order they went in. I don't claim to be an expert on the Fallout universe in any way, so I don't know if it was the first 20 or the last 20 or scattered through. But I like the idea of it being an experimental vault.
Where would you like this one to be set? Okay, so they've done Vegas, they've done DC, Philly, or what was the one? Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Pit.
The Pit showed up. So
the early indicators were that it might be in Europe. Everyone thought that maybe that's why they were doing the date backwards. Well, not backwards. Again, I'm sorry,
you know the way
Europeans
do.
How would they say it if they were talking?
Jolly good. But they were saying that maybe that's why. But as this whole thing has progressed, they've been talking about there's, I guess, a dam or a lake or a reservoir that they reference by name. And they talk about a couple things that are just in that area. So they're thinking, even though Bethesda I think they denied it, that it would be set in, that Massachusetts area, that it actually is.
Yeah, I think if I recall, the audio files that were playing, the audio file that was playing Morse code initially had a file name that said Bridgeport. And then there was a commented out file name that was Falls River. And Bridgeport, of course, is a city in Connecticut. Falls River's in Massachusetts. They're 200 miles apart.
So did you actually know that, or did you?
I looked it up. Okay, I went a little crazy when the site first came out.
I just want to make sure.
There's a really cool Google Doc that people are all contributing to as they sort of decode this stuff. It's insane.
So how long
the
does
levels
it take
they've gone
before
to.
it fills up with just sticks? I mean, in the open Google Doc, that goes to hell almost immediately, right?
That's true, but Wikipedia too.
Fair enough.
I think we're having an emergency. So let me take a second here to read this, now that we got great audio. I want to remind everyone, this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Squarespace, the fast and easy way to create your own professional website, portfolio, or online store. Squarespace has been around for 9 years, and they're constantly improving their platform with new features, new designs, and even better support. You can also easily embed a Twitch TV player into any page on your Squarespace website so you can share your favorite gaming moment. Squarespace starts at just $8 a month and includes a free domain name if you sign up for a year. So if you haven't already, give Squarespace a try. You don't need a credit card. Just start building your website. When you decide to sign up, use offer code PATCH12, that's patch and the numbers 1 and 2, to get 10% off and to show your support for The Patch. That's squarespace.com, offer code PATCH12, patched and the numbers 1 and 2. Love Squarespace, fantastic service. Great way to write your own website where you can do things like debate the merits of PCs versus consoles.
I was going to say, now you know where you make websites, on PCs. Now that we talked about all the console stuff, let's move over to this.
There were a couple of news stories.
There's a lot of really cool stuff with PCs going on right now.
And I feel like a lot of it's centered around NVIDIA. So first of all, apparently this has been out a while. I just learned about it this past week, was the Shadow Play feature now in the latest NVIDIA drivers.
It's in 600 series and higher.
Yeah.
Of the card lines.
Yes.
So anything below that, you won't have this function.
So it's in the 331.83 and newer drivers, I think. I'm going off the top of my head. I may be wrong.
They got a lot of numbers.
So essentially, it's game capture in the video card.
Yeah.
So it uses the
hardware.
GPU cycles to save to buffer the last 20 minutes of everything that's gone through your video card. And you can hit a user-defined keystroke and it'll dump the last 20 minutes of your gameplay to an MPEG-4 file.
Wow, that's really cool.
And it has almost no overhead on your gameplay. Normally you run capture software and the additional overhead of the software as well as the disk writes can cause a performance impact. But with Shadow Play, it's just always running. It's always there. It's a very minimal impact on your game.
The DVR is always there. And then you also could use it essentially like Fraps and have it just record your entire session. It's not limited to the 20-minute mark if you are actively capturing.
Right.
And I believe Twitch streaming is coming. It's not there yet.
Yes.
But it's on the board.
Yeah, they have streaming is in the roadmap. which is awesome. I mean, that's it. And the Xbox One, of course, does something really similar where you can say, Xbox record that, and you get a buffer of up to like the last 5 minutes.
Enjoy that, everyone who's running their Xbox right now.
Oops, sorry.
Watch it over and over.
But I like that kind of stuff, and I find the record that and the DVR functionality really useful on the Xbox, especially because right now I'm playing a lot of Power Star Golf. So it's like you mess up on your stroke. You're like, what the fuck? Did I really miss that? And then you go back and be like, oh yeah, I guess I did.
Let's look at
that.
the tape.
Yeah.
Take it back to the tape.
It's like instant replay. The other thing that, what was it?
Well, NVIDIA's kind of at the center of a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I mean, they were one of the ones that were saying, forget the consoles. Why don't you come over and play PC? Which is a funny statement, I think, especially coming from them, because both consoles are actually AMD based. So NVIDIA has, no stake in that. And they're, sure, why not? Yeah, come play PC. And as part of that, they've got their own kind of the Shield, which is kind of like the Vita Play, essentially. You can stream games to it, a handheld device. And now they've even talked about having it stream to a TV. You can use the Shield as a pass-through to put it on your TV. So you can stream games from your computer to anywhere in your house, essentially.
And didn't they just launch a new beta or a new part of that functionality, like within the last couple of days? Let me look it up, because I saw something about that.
I think the TV part was
I think
was that what I heard about? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy you're talking about, I don't know what he does in NVIDIA. His name's Matt Wright. He was being interviewed by MCV, and he said essentially what you're saying. Like they're preparing for small form factor PCs to be a viable alternative to next gen consoles.
So like the Steam machines.
Right. So that's exactly what it made me think about, and it makes me think that they've got to be ramping up interest in things like Steam machines. The thing that I've always liked about consoles, and the thing that attracts me to them, is if you don't have a lot of time, the ease of use. I turn on a console, I put in a disc, it's going to run. If I bought the disc for my platform, it's going to run. You don't have to worry about like system requirements.
You don't even need to know what a driver is.
Right. Or poor performance. It's going to run at how it's going to run. It's just like an all-in-one easy solution.
Even though it may not. Well, and that's, I think, what I like about the PC, though, is, well, in one, Steam is actually kind of taking care of a lot of that. And there was another piece of news, is they're up to, 7 million concurrent users?
7 million.
There are more users on Steam than there are on Xbox Live.
Yes.
And Xbox Live, I believe, is the biggest gaming platform to stack up to it.
I believe so.
It's in second after Steam.
Yes, I believe so.
And I believe now there've actually been some titles with Steam that have integrated kind of an idea of what you're talking about, where they'll help you fix your drivers.
Oh, really?
Oh, your driver's not up to date. Get this driver, and then it'll do that.
Oh, that sounds so nice. That's always
help
been
streamline all that
the
for
challenge with PC, is going, I don't know, do I have the newest drivers? Are they optimized for this game? Not sure. Time to check.
Steam is taking care of a lot of those worries for you. It also will usually, you'll know going in whether you can play it. And the thing about PC is, what I particularly like about it is, you say that it'll look a certain way on the consoles. Well, on PC, you can make it look better than that certain way.
It's true, but you definitely have to work for it, and you have to have a level of knowledge. I had a problem recently that I think I game a lot, so I'm able to find it easily. But I think about like your average game player. So this we do a lot of game capture on this particular laptop, and I was capturing some Assassin's Creed 4 stuff. And I was like, man, the frame rate's a little low. And I looked, I was like, oh, I recently upgraded my driver and it disabled SLI on the video card. It's like, oh, okay, you just have to re-enable it and reboot and you're fine. But it's like,
but what if you didn't know that?
Right.
Like a lot of people who play on consoles play because they don't have to know any of that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's an easier out of the box solution.
To be fair, if you have an SLI configuration, you probably are the kind of person that would look for that.
Very good counterpoint.
That's not your average user's hardware setup. So the more advanced users are going to have more advanced problems.
I guess that's true. You're adding a layer of complexity.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're willing to work for it, you also get a lot more out of it.
That's true.
You can have multiple video cards. You can have everything. You can get just insane. You can be playing at 4K now.
That's what always has made me laugh through this whole. That's actually someone's drilling into the back of my head. You just can't see it right here.
Someone on Twitter was saying that we're already getting shipments from the Amazon drones.
Yeah, they're dropping them in directly onto our microphone.
But during this whole console debate, we're like, oh, ours is running at 1080. Oh, no, ours is only going to be 720. It's like, PC's been running at 1080 plus for years.
Yeah, but it's still, and that's one of my bigger gripes when it comes to, and this is a separate gripe from like a whole console PC thing, is I have a gripe with the fact that displays still lag at that 1080 mark.
That is absolutely true, and that bugs the heck out of me.
It's like, why is it so difficult to find a display that can show more than 1080 lines.
I mean, and to be fair, Apple does make a lot of monitors that do.
Yeah.
Their cinema displays. They're just very expensive compared to your 1080s. The price point on your 1080 monitors has come down so far. I mean, you can get one for, 1080 is standard now, so you can get one for $200.
Yeah.
Even a 20. I saw some over the
I think
deals.
that's what you guys use. You guys use like little 1080 monitors for Achievement Hunter.
We do.
They're
yeah.
like 24-inch displays. I think they were like 150 bucks or something like that.
Yeah, most of those are just TVs. They're not actually computer monitors.
Okay, gotcha.
But I mean, they're not expensive. Well, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next point up to get to a 2550 monitor, 25 by 14 something. I forget the numbers.
It's 2550 by 1536 or something like that. 2560 by 1536, I think.
Somewhere in there, yeah. Anyway, the next step up, which is generally accepted, the price jumps by $450, $500. Mm-hmm. Then there's been no movement in that. Like, it's not coming down.
I saw that the other day. Dell announced that they were going to start shipping some 4K monitors this month. I want to say it was a 24 and a 32-inch monitor, but they were kind of expensive. The 24-inch monitor was like, oh god, I'm talking out my ass here. The 24-inch monitor was like $1,600 or $1,700, and the 32-inch 4K display was $3,500. But they said that they're going to launch a 28-inch 4K display next year in a sub $1,000 price point.
I'm really interested to see how that looks, because at a certain point, 4K is overkill for something that you're sitting 4 feet away from. I mean, there's only so much pixels you can actually perceive.
I guess we have a graphic here that might be useful for some people who are listening or watching the stream. Mm-hmm. Sorry if you're listening. You can see a comparison of different resolutions and how many more pixels and how much more you can see. So on the low end DV there, that's just your standard definition, 720p, 1080p, of course, normal high def formats, and you can see how many more pixels are exactly in a 4K resolution. 4K, is essentially 4 times the number of pixels in a 1080p stream.
So, I mean, the only thing, if you're looking at a display and it's showing the same image on 1080 and 4K, the only place you're going to notice a sharp difference, aside from aliasing, which going up to a 4K display will pretty much alleviate any need for any kind of anti-aliasing. There just won't be it.
Because of the pixel density?
The pixel density is so much that you'll just have a straight line. But it's the fine details. And you'll still see this in PS4 stuff today, like the trees in Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. As the camera moves, you see like a little kind of jitter. Mm-hmm. Like there's just a little bit of fractal kind of noise. And that's what you'll see go away. But aside from that, you're not going to be able to tell a lot.
We actually have a clip that may show some of that. I don't know if anyone in the control room can hear me. If we could pull up the clip for the Assassin's Creed 4, the one called Sync. I took some comparison footage for the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and running on this machine.
Nice.
And cut them all together to show the difference in between all of them.
So all recorded at 1080.
This is all recorded at 1080p.
Okay.
If you're watching the stream right now, we're playing back at 720p, so it's compressed down a little bit. But
those trees are in a totally different place. That was very fast.
So that's a quick little shot. But it really showcases how much more, power there is there.
Well, I think what you'll notice most strongly in a PC render would be your shadows are going to look better, your ambient occlusion is going to be stronger, and then your fine detail is going to be a little bit clearer.
Yeah, well, we have. I don't have a clip showing it explicitly, but I played both or all 3 versions of that game for quite a bit to capture, and the tattoos on that character. You really can't see them. They're really muddy on the 360. On the Xbox One, they're a lot crisper. Then on the PC, they were just like, you could see every line. They look like actual tattoos and not just a stamp.
Do you think tattoos are going to become the new water? That's how everyone's going to be like, look at the graphics on this game. I mean, look at that guy's tattoos, right?
Well, I feel like, it's funny you joke about that. I feel like for the past couple of years, in some sports games, they market it like that. Like it's really a big deal. It's like, look, we have all these unique textures.
You can see his freckles.
Yeah, and then
the sweat.
This tattoo really...
Sweat technology.
But
is there something kind of funny about having sweat technology for people who are staying indoors and not going outside and sweating? Like, man, that's what it would look like if I went outside.
No one's saying they're not sweating. They're just not doing it through physical labor.
Yeah. Especially if you work in the Achievement Hunter office, then we're sweating all the time, even though we're playing video games.
Well, yeah, you all have a hot office.
You guys are in a hot box.
We are. We're pretty much. Yeah, I think I'm cooked. I'm actually done. If I had a little turkey thing, it'd go.
You'll have a lot of equipment running in there. But I mean, I think each has its place.
It does, but the PC is clearly better. I mean, its place is just on top of the others.
I mean, if like
Is
first
this-
place,
is
right?
this your PC master race coming out in you?
I appreciate all consoles, all gaming equally, except for the PC, which is better than them.
Well, it does have some utility.
Like have some utility.
I've been capturing.
That's what you say about consoles. Oh, well, they play games, but they do have some utility. The PC is actually the thing that has all the utility, and then it has games that are surplus.
You know what I find interesting though is like, so you're getting into this 4K technology. Everything is super, super powerful, and then there's all these games that are sort of going backwards, and they're going into 2D, and they're going into like the sort of 8-bit pixel look. Like was the beta for Starbound started today?
That's right.
And that's like a 2D sort of pixel-based, procedurally generated. So like there's a lot of technology behind it, but like on the surface, it actually looks like adorably and very intentionally primitive.
Well, I think a lot of that is inspired by the success that Minecraft saw, and the fact that the great thing about Minecraft is it's very blocky. It can run on almost any computer. You can have a really old computer; it's not really graphically intensive, and it allows them to port it. That's why you see it on every console. You see it on mobile now. So I think a lot of people realize like, oh, if we can make something that can run everywhere, why wouldn't we do that?
It's funny
It's
though.
true.
If you were to look at a side by side of Minecraft running at maxed out settings versus say just the bland version, it's all subtle, but there is actually a lot of improvement that happens between just your average machine and running it on something that's a little bit hardcore.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they in most recent update have added a bunch of a bunch of graphics updates, just to push little things. I don't remember the list off the top of my head. But
One of the things they added was the ability to stream natively to Twitch out of Minecraft.
Did they?
Yeah,
I missed
it's
that.
not in the stable build. I think it's in the newest, basically what they call the beta builds. I forget what they're called right off the top of my head, but like they've got a new, essentially beta build that has the new one-click Twitch streaming in it. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, they were able to anyway, right? Just like through, like, but you had to have other
software
stuff
that
going
would stream it for you. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of people that stream using Elgatos or things like that.
well, this makes it easier. One of the other things that
on. Yeah, that's what it's called, a snapshot.
A snapshot. Okay.
Yeah.
one of the other things that I like about like gaming on a console is a unified storefront where it's easy to find things. And I feel like with Steam, PCs have gotten there.
Yeah.
And
though it's
I
still a
guess-
little spread out as some of the other companies are
Right, but
keep
you-
trying to stick their own footholds in there.
Right, so I like the unified, you go one place, everything's there, as opposed to, oh, this game's not on Steam. Maybe it's on Origin, looking
Yeah.
for, like, poking around through different places.
To be fair, though, you could have the same argument of, so that's where PC's divided as far as console, it would be PS4 versus, Xbox. So there's same thing. There's another company that makes another game. You can't get it without going to their thing. But you can get both of them on one machine, one physical hardware, as opposed to two separate
Right,
pieces.
just two different services.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. There could be a game that's coded just for the Mac that doesn't run on Windows.
Yeah.
When's the last time that happened?
Yeah, man can dream.
I don't think that's happened
I mean,
probably
no
since,
one
like,
would have
No
that
one,
dream.
yeah,
But
no one
Marathon?
cares.
like 20 years.
Ooh.
yeah, how's Halo going? I'm sure that's coming back any day.
Yeah, that's
It's a little sore spot for some people, I think.
yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I say that jokingly. Obviously, I don't think anybody develops as the Macintosh being their primary delivery or the primary market for game.
Yeah, although it's funny that kind of goes back to the fact that with this whole Steam box and they're pushing the Steam OS on Linux. I mean, again, no one would have really developed for Linux until they started making that move.
There were
Do you
some-
think they will now? Do you think developers will do that just so that they can be native on Steam Machine?
I mean, we talked about that a while ago. No, I don't think so. It's funny because right when we talked about that, I made some comments about how the driver support isn't there. And then a lot of people are like, oh, that's really old. They've really caught up. And then just in looking at stuff for the Shadowplay stuff, I see a whole bunch of people posting comments going, oh, do you think the drivers for Linux will come along sometime?
Oh.
Like, Linux is a good platform for a lot of things, but it's not usually on the cutting edge of driver support.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe id used to always release Linux binaries for the Quake games, didn't they?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there was at least some developers who do that.
I think it's always usually the exception, and it's the afterthought. It's never developed primarily for that
Right.
platform. It's just ported in.
I'm definitely excited about Steam machines, especially the way that I consume games. Primarily through my television on my couch. It's an easy solution. As a lot of times you can try to shoehorn and make those things work with like HTPCs, which kind of work. But I feel like something running
a Steam OS specifically for playing games that you get through Steam, which already controls most of digital delivery on the PC, is a good solution to that.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I actually didn't realize this for a long time, but I didn't realize that the way Xbox got its name was that it was supposed to be the Direct Xbox. It was supposed to be what Steam Machine is doing, where it was a living room machine that ran DirectX, which all the games they were getting developed for, and like that's sort of what it was meant to be. That sort of vision. Like, here is the standardized hardware with DirectX, so you can play your sort of PC developed games, but here in your living room. And then it's since sort of developed into its own thing, but that was like the original vision. Is kind of, and it's coming along again now from Valve. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's funny to me to think about the Xbox getting its name from DirectX, because I feel like back then, DirectX was still kind of vying for market dominance. They were like, OpenGL was a valid competitor.
It was everywhere. OpenGL, the DirectX really had to rip it out of the teeth of OpenGL. And I'm not sure exactly how they ended up winning, but I think OpenGL's still around. I mean, even Minecraft actually runs with OpenGL background. So it's still out there. I'm not sure who still uses it.
Yeah, it's just, a part of the dominance of owning the operating system and the platform. You get a lot better access to it, and Microsoft's a huge company. They can definitely devote a lot of resources to pushing DirectX, and it's grown a lot. It's great. I think the first game I ever played that was a DirectX game was Interstate 76. I don't know if you remember that. It was like that old car combat game. It was like a 70s style. It was from like the late 90s, maybe 96, 97, something like that.
That sounds familiar. I can't put my finger on
I
it.
think it was like a DirectX 2 game. And I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think my first 3D video card was OpenGL. It was like, I got this video card that actually didn't work with my 486, which I ended up attempting to overclock to like 300 megahertz or something to try and get it working with EverQuest. Oh God, that was like probably the worst thing I've ever done. But I remember the first time I ever like had a nice like 3D video card. I thought it was nice.
Well, did you have?
I finally got it all working together, and I was like,
Did you have
this
one
is
of
a whole new world.
the standalone 3D cards? Because that was how when it first started.
Yeah.
3D cards were a standalone thing that didn't do any 2D.
Yeah, it was like you were the shit if you had like a Matrox card for your 2D and a Voodoo for
Or
your
the Voodoo,
3D.
yeah.
No, it was a Voodoo Extreme.
Voodoo, okay. I think that was the Extreme was after they actually tied in a 2D. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Extreme was like one of the first cards that did 2D and 3D.
Oh, and
So-
it was the PCI and everything.
Yeah.
That's like what I had.
Pre-AGP.
It was.
I'm being told that Interstate 76 was developed and published by Activision, released March 28th, 1997.
Man.
So yeah, right about that time. So I think my first 3D card was it was an NVIDIA Riva TNT.
It wasn't NVIDIA then. It would have been STB or...
it was Guillemot or Guillemot, Guillemot.
Gimo?
I don't know how to say it.
that may have been the third party.
Yeah, that was like the third party
I
manufacturer.
forget exactly how it's... NVIDIA was born out of a couple companies like that, but yeah.
It was a Riva TNT. I think it had 16
That's
megs.
Oh, I remember
also
the
had a Riva,
Rivas.
yeah.
Yeah.
The STP Velocity 120.
I feel like we're all probably dating ourselves a little bit.
It's just showing our gaming pedigree and that we've
There
been
you
around the
go.
block a few times. We know what we're talking about.
Gus has been around the block.
So if anybody wants to contribute, we have a couple hashtags for the discussion about console and PC and their benefits. We have hashtags. If you want to communicate, we can use hashtag PCFTW to show support for PCs,
Yeah.
and hashtag console FTW for
I
comments.
know you're out there,
regarding consoles.
PC folks.
And,
remember what you're watching it on. Unless you're watching it on an Xbox, in which case, Xbox, turn off.
Yes.
So there we got them on screen. We got some hashtags there.
Twitter is also telling us that Chromag Rally, Mac only.
Wow.
Also maybe Load Runner.
They had to dig
Load
real
Runner was
deep.
Mac only? No, I call bullshit on that one.
Bugdom.
Bugged them.
Don't remember that.
All these, intense titles of our yesteryear.
We're talking some AAA stuff here.
Yeah, it's definitely a limited market. The big one that people always point to is the Marathon series, which was games that Bungie made years ago.
Which-
Do you remember their Oni game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on PC too, though.
Yeah, no, I played it on PC. I actually really enjoyed it. Everyone,
too,
it was pretty universally panned, and I have no idea why because I loved it. I mean, I guess the environments were a bit stark.
Well, it's cell
But
shaded.
dude, like, getting to like jump over a dude and then like flip him with your legs and like break his neck, that was totally sweet, and you had purple hair.
So Bungie did most of the developing on that, but I believe was it 2K who ended up distributing it? Because I think what happened was like that game came out right around the time that Microsoft bought Bungie. So they were primarily interested in the Halo title, so they carved out Oni, and I think that went to 2K, and 2K ended up retaining the rights for it.
You know, the one thing I do remember very strongly about that game, aside from the fact that I did like it, but it always did kind of feel kind of portish. Like it played like it was meant to be used on a controller. The keyboard was kind of wonky with it.
Yeah, I just got confirmation Load Runner's been like on every platform ever. There's no way that was a Mac exclusive. It was the Sega SG-1000. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Apple II, some Russian thing.
Wait, the Apple II?
The VIC-20.
When he says Russian thing, he means it's actually written in Russian.
Yeah, some Russian word. The 82/8M. PlayStation, but yeah, Xbox Live Arcade, Windows, Macintosh. Oh, so I got clarification on what the Russian word is. The Pravets.
The Pravets.
The Series 8 and Series 16.
The
Bulgarian
Pravets.
computers manufactured
Runs on
mainly in
pure
the town
vodka.
of Pravets.
Vodka cooled.
Some components of
Vodka-cooled,
software were
yes.
produced in Stara Zagora, Plovdiv, and other
Machine
Bulgarian cities. Well, yeah, I got sent this to make me sound like an idiot trying to read these.
Machine gets too hot, pour vodka on.
Pravets
It makes
computers
good.
are now returned to the market with laptops and Pravets OS based on open source solutions.
One drink for console,
So
one
are they
drink
like-
for you.
Or you could use it as a distillery. Like you put potatoes in and vodka comes out the back. So the Pravets, of course. I mean, I feel stupid
Of
for not
course.
knowing that.
How didn't we know it was available on there?
But yeah,
Didn't get a wide release.
Load
Can you
Runner's
believe
been on
that?
just about everything. Hold on, I'm being told this. In October 2013, it was announced that Pravets computers would come back with the first Pravets laptop to be released in 2014. Okay, so we will be getting Pravets computers again.
Sweet.
Now, you heard it here first on the patch.
Pravets is making a comeback.
Eastern Bloc, baby. Never forget.
Probably powered by Raspberry Pi or something.
Who knows? I'm actually genuinely curious. I'm going to look it up when we're done here to go find out about that. So, you know, so we have a lot of things to talk about, and I feel like we've been talking a lot about PCs and consoles. But one of the things I definitely wanted to mention was that Jane Austen MMO successfully hit their Kickstarter goal.
How did that happen? Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love me some Jane Austen, but that is such a highly female demographic that it could bring in a completely new demographic of MMO gamers.
I'm really
'Cause
excited to check
It
this
is
game
all
out.
chicks, dude.
109,000. So it had, well, okay. I guess it had 1,600 backers, which that doesn't actually sound like a large number.
All 1,600 of
Very
them had
passionate
boobs.
ones.
Seriously.
You think so?
Like, look, Jane Austen fans, I love Jane Austen. But sometimes we can be a little bit weird.
So I guess the MMO is called Ever Jane. And players spend their time going to dinner parties and society events while building a reputation and spreading gossip.
See, here's
AKA backstab the game.
here's the big problem with it is that every single one of us is going to try and marry Mr. Darcy. That's all any Jane Austen fan wants to do.
I guess to be fair, so like in, World of Warcraft or whatever, there's always a big mob boss that everybody has to gang up and fight. So is this the Jane Austen equivalent?
But
Does everybody have to gang up
case-
and marry this one guy?
But in
what,
this
does he
case,
drop epic loot?
we'll all be fighting each other.
Well, no, maybe you
Dun,
have to
dun,
work
dun,
together.
dun, dun.
Maybe you have to work together
Through gossip.
and then tie him down.
We'll spread terrible
Maybe
rumors.
one of them has to go say pleasant things about Mrs. Darcy so that she will go into another room and then you can get...
You can become the new Mrs. Darcy. So apparently the Lizzie Bennett Diaries won an Emmy, and they were just nominated for a Producers Guild Award.
Oh, yeah.
It's a web series based on Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, they're doing a new Emma one, as one for Emma as well, I think. It's like,
So Jane Austen hitting it big on the internet.
yep. And again, all with ladies. Do
I
you
can't
know,
wait to
do
do
you
it.
know,
There's a big market for that. That's a huge growth market. I feel like
It is.
when it comes to gaming, that's really an underserved market. Like everyone pictures, sweaty nerdy guys like you talk about.
Yeah.
The guy,
I mean,
your
the-
stereotypical
the
image of the person
origin,
playing
yeah.
Rise.
It's definitely grown past that, thankfully. But yeah, no, I mean there's a niche market for just about anything at this point.
okay, next scenario.
Mm-hmm.
How many dudes do you think are going to play this game to pick up on all of the chicks? Because, it's like guys
You
like
think that's
male,
gonna be a hotbed of
it's
actual
like male
human?
dancers. It's like male dancers. They're the ones who have got their hands all over the female dancers.
It's true.
They're lucky. They know what's going on.
Straight guys, theater.
Get into theater.
Do it.
Did you do theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, did not know that about
I did
you.
theater.
Yeah. No, this is my theater. That was my final major at Georgia Southern was theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a degree in theater?
Ryan, we're learning so many things.
I had no idea. What are you doing on a gaming podcast?
Well, then I went and got a degree in computer animation.
Ah,
so,
okay.
Nerd.
You gotta. It's animation. You gotta act in animation. It worked together.
You're very talented.
I am.
We should have you do mocap. You can do like these.
If
All the
you
really
do that, I
emphatic
think that's
gestures.
the first thing they actually tell you not to do in theater. Like, you're gonna get on stage. You're gonna have the urge to go. Don't.
Do not. They slap
Also-
your hand from off stage, have a really long ruler, and they like hit your hand.
Don't you dare soliloquy.
It's a,
Monologues only.
it's a team performance. So Walking Dead 2, or Walking Dead Season 2, coming out this month, they revealed via Twitter that one of the Season 1 characters is coming back, besides Clementine, which was Omid. And I was very not excited about that. I don't remember.
They probably could have just omitted that fact, and it would have been fine. Oh, can I get one?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
That was for you.
He was not a character that I was particularly attached to in Season 1.
That means he'll be dead within 30 seconds.
In
right?
fact, I'll say I hated him.
Well, do you think that means they brought him back to kill him? I mean, so they brought back main character. I guess it's already been shown. I've been trying not to actually say it because I know it's very. It's like the spoiler for The Walking Dead, but then they went and announced it and spoiled the whole thing anyway. But so they're not going to kill her because you play as her.
Yes.
But they might want to kill off another character that you're familiar with and have some level of attachment to, even if you even if you don't like, it's fine.
Did you get the early kill in?
Well, you get the early gut twist in.
That does sound like Kirkman. Robert
Could
Kirkman just loves to kill people.
Yeah.
God love him for it.
Is
too.
he neighbors with George R. R.
I was
Martin?
going to say maybe they just have parties and go you'll never guess what I've got planned. They're competing with
They
each
love
other.
him so
They're
much.
escalating.
I can kill even more characters than you can. Also, another thing, I think you reported this on the news that
Did we?
19-year-old kid who got a job at Bungie after making
So
the Skyrim
cool.
mod.
I'm really proud of that kid. That's an enormous accomplishment. I mean, and if you ask me, if you're gonna try to get into the games industry, that's the way to do it. He said, I'm going to make something. This is my job application. I'm going to show you that I can start an ambitious project. I can see it all the way through. I can finish it. I can put it out there. And I have made something.
Yeah,
I don't just want this. I worked for this. I've created, and here is
Well, it shows also that
my
they're
work.
passionate about it. I think it's one of the things that we emphasize, that we tell people a lot. People say, I want to work with you guys. I want to work, doing what you guys do. It's don't aspire to
Don't
do it.
wait.
Just start
Right.
doing it. Have, a portfolio, have a catalog of stuff, and just get better at it, as you iterate and as you learn and you do more.
Yeah, that's absolutely exactly the point that makes it really valuable to any employer, I would think, is that you come into it having already learned all the lessons that you would have learned in the first year of working there.
Right.
Like all the things that are going to fail with a new employee, you've at least gone through a lot of them. You've seen the back end of that already.
And this is, by the way, as a side note back to our earlier discussion, this is one of the points I thought y'all were going to bring up about PCs.
Is mods.
mods.
That
And-
is just a whole second life for every game.
Right.
Not every, but I mean, the kind of things that people will do with modding is out of there. For example, Just Cause 2 multiplayer mod, they're saying is
They
by
said
hell
it's
or high
coming.
water, it's going to
Yeah.
be done by this year.
Yeah.
So they've got a beta happening on the 7th.
That game released almost 4 years ago. It was March of 2010.
Dude, I went skydiving for that game.
Really?
Yeah, I was. So that was when I was living in Australia. I was working for Xbox there, and the PR guy contacted me. He was like, "We're doing skydiving as sort of a press experience thing. We're gonna send everyone skydiving, and then they're gonna go play the game." And I was like, "You're insane." He goes, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yes."
Did they make you stand on the runway and fire a grappling hook at the plane as it was taking off and then get dragged up like that?
Or did they make you write the review before they push you out of the plane? All right, if you say something good, you get the parachute. If you don't, then you just go.
If you say something
will-
good, you get the green parachute. If you say something bad, you get the red parachute.
Beer has never been so good as right after plummeting from the sky.
Yeah, it came out March 23rd, 2010 in North America.
Well, that's an ambitious project to incorporate multiplayer into a game like that. I mean, those guys did a lot of work. There's just no question. But yeah, you're right. That is definitely something that I think it'll be interesting to see now that they have kind of the dev kit stuff going on with the Xbox. if they open it up to some of that. No?
Potentially, well, but that's that. I mean, it is open to devs, but it's with the idea of creating original games, original content, and you have to register for it. You can't just download, the creation kit and run with it. I mean, it's like, those things they're not easy. I started like trying to figure out how to make a Skyrim mod because I have some devious plans for one that's just like something small but fun, and just trying to learn how to create a level. It's like brilliant because there's so many options that it's a bit like snowboarding where it's like really hard to get started to just like make sense of it all and figure it out. And then once you get rolling, like once you sort of get the baby steps, then it's just,
then you're
the
just
whole
falling
world
down a
opens
mountain.
up. Yeah. You're no,
That's my
not
experience
falling.
with skiing, pretty
not
much,
falling,
yeah.
hurtling down a mountain.
I went skiing once, and I couldn't stop. So
You're
I physically could not snowplow to make myself stop. So I decided that was not safe.
You prefer more friction-based travel.
Yeah. So it was a little scary for me, much like I guess creating a mod would be.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of crazy mods for Skyrim.
Oh yeah. I've downloaded every Pervy one, by the way.
Really?
What's
Yeah,
a, what's,
you
a
can-
per- what's a perviest?
You can make all of the guards naked with gigantic dongs.
Like how big are we talking?
We're talking like that big.
Is there physics on the dongs? I mean, are they swinging or are they just like...
They flop a bit. They flop a
They
bit.
point to true north.
They also have. There's
Their
multiple
compass.
options for circumcised versus non-circumcised.
Well, I mean...
but my favorite one is probably incredibly
have
simple, but
moils
it's turning
in
all
Skyrim?
of the. It's turning all of. Maybe. I mean, I guess.
Who's
they have
doing the
to.
old snip snip? Sorry, I didn't interrupt. Please continue.
But my favorite one is the one that turns all the arrows into giant pink dildos.
So it's like turning it into Saints Row 4, essentially.
Basically, yeah, but with horses and swords.
The best part of that's got to be when you lodge one in something's skull and it's just like...
Oh yeah. Then you walk up to them afterwards, and just like the arrows, they're sticking out of like all these crazy holes
got
that you made in them.
I feel like the best part would be like
Sexy.
forgetting you installed all those mods and then months later coming back to the game and being like, what the fuck is going on with all these pink dildos?
Or if your mom happens to come and look over your shoulder while you're playing the game.
Oh yeah, Dead Rising, I'm being told, I just got reminded that Dead Rising 3 has that dildo launcher. I don't know if you've encountered
Yeah,
it.
I did.
Yeah.
I saw that. It
Forgot
was
about that.
you know what my big complaint about the dildo launcher is? It only launches one at a time. You're dealing with thousands of zombies.
It's true.
And
And
you're
they
launching
arc.
one dildo at
I-
a time.
I-
What if we got one like it launched 10 at a time and out like that, like in a
Or
fan?
more than anything, even more simple, my wish was for a fully automatic dildo launcher. Like as it is, you have to pull the trigger each time you want to shoot. I just want to hold the trigger down and be like thump 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 thump,
Yeah, yeah. It'd be nice if you could like tack them to the wall too. Instead of right now they're just kind of like an arc. It's like woo.
You know the was it Saints Row 4 initially was banned in Australia?
Yeah.
Because of the dildo weapon.
Yeah.
Because
was-
you could
it was-
forcibly.
Wait, that was
It was-
3, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Was it 3?
Well, there were
I
there
don't-
were-
4 was the probulator.
Well, 4 was the probulator as well as the use of the space drugs.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got it mixed up because it also has a giant
Yeah,
dildo.
Yeah,
weapon.
3 did have
My-
3 was the giant purple dildo.
Right.
My bad, getting my dildo guns mixed up.
We
Dildo gaming.
we did an event in London.
Sounds like something the Jane Austen crowd might want. I don't know.
Oh, Ryan.
Jeez.
Sorry.
We did the MCM London Comic Con the right before Saints Row the Third came out, and we were right next to the THQ booth. And because it's a mature game, they had to have everything walled in, and they had to check ID to let people in to see the game and play it. And we were setting up one morning before the show opened, and I guess like the guy in charge of that booth was going around and like briefing all the employees what they needed to do, and he had a giant replica of the in-game dildo like on a stick and was just like walking around like pointing out directions like Patton, with a fucking giant purple dildo. I mean, like, we're gonna set up lines here, we're gonna let the people in there, stand your ground, man.
Did it actually wobble too?
It did.
Is that what-
Only at the tip did it wobble.
Oh, that's nice.
It's not a dildo if it doesn't have a little bit of a comic wobble.
Well, that's what makes it funny. I mean, if it was just, then it'd be kind of scary.
Yeah.
The wobble gives it a little bit of comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, how does it wobble?
Wobble. We also, I feel like we would be negligent in our duties if we didn't mention that the Spike VGX Awards, or VGX,
VGX, yeah. They
is
just
this
renamed
weekend.
It.
Really?
It's Saturday.
Yep.
Cool.
And it's going to be streaming everywhere. Like the list, I'm looking at the list here.
They're doing a ton of reveals, new trailers, new information. It sounds like it's gonna be pretty crazy.
Well,
It's-
they're pushing hard for somebody to watch it this year.
It's streaming Saturday,
Wow.
December 7th, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern,
Are they
5 p.m.
sponsored?
Texas.
I have no, I don't think so.
No,
I
they're
just
not.
like Ryan's sassy. He's got his laptop. He's happy and
I
sassy.
haven't slept in like 2 weeks, so yeah.
It'll be streamed on the PlayStation 3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Twitch, iOS, Android devices, Yahoo Screen, Hulu, and VGXLive.com, Spike.com, ComedyCentral.com, MTV.com, MTV2.com, BET.com, and GameTrailers.com.
Wow.
So I think you cannot go to any website that will not be streaming
I think it's going to
it.
be streamed on more services than it'll have people watching.
But I'm excited. Like you mentioned, there's going to be... I'm not trying to downplay
No,
your
that's fine.
snarky remarks.
No.
I totally agree.
No,
Is it supposed to be
respect
better
the
this year?
snark.
Is it supposed to be
The
better
only
this year?
thing I'm really excited about is the new stuff they're going to be showing off. They're going to have supposedly new information about Titanfall, that Remedy game, Quantum Break, Double Fine's game, Broken Age, Techland's open world zombie game, Dying Light, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, The Division, which of course we haven't heard anything about, I think, since E3.
Yeah, they basically went quiet on it, I think, while they were getting all of the next-gen stuff out.
Well, they hit a high with the door closing technology.
I cannot wait to
weren't they-
close that door. 2014 cannot get here fast enough.
It's weird. I kind of thought that they went quiet on it to give, now my
Watch Dogs?
blank. Watch Dogs, there we go. I was like, the one with the underscore. To give Watch Dogs, like, sort of like their full attention. But with that being delayed, why it's still quiet?
Well, they're probably focusing on Watch Dogs still to get it out. Isn't that coming out like in March?
Yeah, they've delayed it to March or April.
So they're probably going to focus on that. And I'm sure
April.
once Watch Dogs comes out, we'll start hearing more information. Or maybe they'll start with more information after the VGX this weekend.
So, okay, all kidding aside, is it supposed to be better this year? Because the talk about any of the Spike Video Game Awards has never been...
Well, I'm
Well,
hoping...
let's be honest.
Yeah.
Awards-wise, who cares?
Fair enough.
Like, some people win awards, they'll put it, on the Game of the Year edition of their games, and that's all going to be really cool. But what we care about as gamers is all the reveals that are going to happen. That's how they'll get people to tune in, right? Is the fact that we'll be able to see Division and Broken Age, which I want to hear more about.
Will it?
I'm hoping also that they focus more on games and less on pandering to like D-list celebrities and focusing on highlighting on that stuff.
It is streaming, so they're as opposed to being like a televised event. So it's entirely possible that they're going a bit more core.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever been booed off the internet?
What about style?
What about that Microsoft guy?
That
who
Microsoft guy?
who was like, screw people without internet. Why would you even want to live there anyway? About the Xbox One.
Wait, no, didn't
stuff.
he get booed into another CEO position somewhere else?
No,
He got booed out of a job.
Yeah, he got booed out of Microsoft essentially.
But he left Microsoft
Internet,
to go
what was that
become a
guy's name?
CEO of something else.
I don't think he became a CEO. Oh, no, you're thinking of Don Matrick.
Oh.
No, I'm not thinking of Don
No,
Matrick.
that's
I'm
who he's
thinking
thinking
of
of.
Dr. Matrick.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she's thinking of the guy who got in the Twitter flame war with that guy.
Oh.
Yeah, and he was posting on things like, why would you live there anyway?
Right.
So I don't know why that made me think about this, but one of the other articles I read before we came on today was Epic Games Vice President Mark Rein, R-E-I-N,
Mark Rein.
said that he is not sold on second screen gameplay yet,
Well,
which
for
is
good reason.
something I totally
You think
agree
so?
with. I tried the second screen experience with Dead Rising 3, and I have an iPad, right? So I just set up the iPad next to me. It's like, all right, cool, I can use this for my map and stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing you don't realize, you played Dead Rising 3, right?
And I've
is
used the smart glass with
that
it, too.
guy fucking will not stop calling you.
What?
The guy who calls you in game and gives you side missions.
Is he like
Yeah.
super needy?
Yeah, he calls all the time on my iPad. It's like, oh my god,
He's never called me
he
once.
calls me like every minute. I'm having to like pause the game and be like, shut up, I don't
What is
need
he
to hear
talking
this.
about?
He's just like flavor text. He on the second screen, he's always asking for porn. He's like, maybe there's porn there. I don't know if it sees my iPad history and it's like tailoring stuff to me.
So tell us more about.
Oh, yeah, he also gives you a food mission that you can never complete. Like you
Like
have
it's
to,
a broken mission?
No. It's a repeatable mission. You have to take 4 pieces of food and you put them in a box at a safe house. And as soon as you do that, then he's like, hey, great, do it again. And then he constantly calls you and texts you to remind you to do it. You're like, I see the fucking mission. You cannot clear it. So it's like, it's maddening when I see my mission list and there's that one that's like, that's never going away.
Weird. He's not once bothered me through my smart glass app. But to be fair, I haven't used it a lot. Like I used it and I ran around with the map for a couple hours. And in that time, he'd never bothered me. So I've never even heard this. And then I haven't used it since.
Well, my understanding of Mark Rein's, I guess why he's not really sold on it is because you have the controller in your hands and you have to put the controller down and pick up the second screen thing, interact with it, put it back down, and then pick the controller back up.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I actually think the Wii U comes out on top because it's already there.
It's
already the
integrated.
controller. It's just like you just look down and then you tap and you put your hand back in place.
But the
As
controller's
opposed
just
to-
like massive and
Well,
kind of crazy.
yeah, there is that, but
Adam Orth.
Adam Orth, there we go. Thanks, internet.
Thank you, fact checker, right over there.
Thanks, fact checker.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely a compromise. I feel like the Wii U controller is just ridiculous, though.
It is pretty significant, but I don't like. I've been playing Wind Waker on it, and I have no problems with it whatsoever. It's been perfectly comfortable. If I have any complaint, it's that the battery on it doesn't last nearly long enough. Like I like to game for like 5 or 6 hours at a time, and the gamepad just doesn't last that long.
Can you disable the screen on it, or is it?
If
Are you playing on the screen here, or are you playing on the screen?
No, I play on the TV, but then I have all my menu options on the screen.
Okay, so you can't disable that, really.
I don't know. I mean, I know that you can do the off-screen play. So, theoretically, you should be able to say, turn this off and only do it on the TV.
So,
But I have not.
do
I
you
don't know if
think
that's an option. I don't know it.
console manufacturers will open up controller APIs to the point where third parties could make controllers that snap onto like an iPad like this?
Nope.
And you could play your game and have your second screen integrated?
That seems sound like
Nope.
it kind of looked like the Shield, really.
Yeah, that would be a lot like the Shield.
Or like the Wii U
Or like the Wii U.
gamepad?
Just buckle half a controller on either side of the iPad.
Yeah. strap yourself in and enjoy the ride.
I mean, honestly, what we're getting to is a point where it might be nice to have a gaming cockpit, like where you want something that's you can settle in and have access to your second screen,
Yeah, that
or
sounds
third
convenient.
screens.
Or just wait till Oculus Rift and it's all.
There you
just
go.
Turn your
And
head to the side and there
there's
it is.
another argument in PC's favor, by the way, is they're basically deprioritizing any console stuff for Oculus Rift because they're saying that the hardware is too limited.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that hinders consoles. Is a console comes out and it has to have a shelf life of at least a minimum of 5 years. And in the most recent case, I think the 360 went 8 years. So the hardware does not age well. And you talk about things like the Xbox One, who have DDR3 RAM instead of DDR5, like the PS4. It's like, how well is that going to age over time?
It is weird to me that this, so when the 360 came out, it supported HD, even though that was almost not a thing yet. There were HD was kind of starting to come in, really similar to how 4K is now, where it's it's available. It's not widely adopted, but it's there if you have the money to drop on it. But they said no. This is for both that and the PS3, they said no. We're going to support HD because that's where the future's going. And this time they were like, technology, let's focus on services.
Yeah.
We're going to get them all internet.
Technically, I played my first HD video game on the original Xbox. It was Soul Calibur 2. I bought the high definition breakout pack specifically for that. And the TV I bought to do that was like $500. It's right over there. It's a tiny little 13-inch TV. So you mentioned like a cockpit you want to get into that you can do everything. Have you ever seen that subreddit, Battle Stations?
No.
Where people post their gaming setup and it's serious.
I will.
So I've got here's an example, if we can cut to it, of someone's battle station. They've got a bunch of.
They've got arcades.
They've actually got
They've got store demo
GameStop
units.
stores.
That's amazing.
And everything there. So we are at time.
Hey, stop shaking it.
Well, it had stopped
Making it
flowing.
go faster.
Well, that's because time stopped.
Yeah. No, it means keep talking.
No, the sand was not moving. I was wondering why. We were at an hour and that had not stopped yet. The sand was
Ancient
actually jammed up.
technology failing us right there.
So, people, if you want to continue
Newton.
tweeting about consoles and PCs, please continue to use the PCFTW and ConsoleFTW hashtag. We'll probably jump on Twitter. Well, I'll jump on Twitter and I'll weigh in a bit. But thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next Monday with another episode of RT Podcast and next Wednesday with another episode of The Patch.
Bye.
We miss you.